Yo, what is up guys, Ferro here, and today we're going to be talking about top 5 moments or just top 5 things in general in One Piece that Oda didn't really plan for. Now these are just the ones we know of as of right now. Honestly, there could be more, but these are just the ones that are confirmed by Oda himself in multiple interviews, and honestly some of these are really shocking and great at the same time, given the fact that Oda doesn't really need to plan for things to turn out amazing in the story. But before we get on to the video, quick shout out to Yonko Production on Twitter, specifically Sandman, because I think he translated from Japanese to English, and he made a compilation of things Oda said in multiple interviews in the past year. So shout out to these guys. Links will be in the description if you want to go check it out for yourself. But let's get on to the video. So I'm going to be going by the least shocking to the most shocking. But at number 8 we have Vivi being a princess. Now the first time we met Vivi was during the Reverse Mountain arc, and at that point she was working with the Barrack Works under the name of Miss Wednesday, but she ended up going on the journey with the Straw Hats after that point till she was revealed to be a princess during Alabasta. Now this one isn't too much of a shock really. Usually Oda has rough sketches of what he's going to do in a future arc, then fortifies it more when he's currently working on that arc itself. Perhaps someone else was meant to be the princess of Alabasta, or this might just be the influence of his editors making him go with a different path, or it could just be one of those things where as the story moves on, Oda looks at what options he has, incorporates things that weren't planned for and that would fit well in the story, which is the case for a bunch of things he did in the story, as you will see with the others on this list. Again, we don't know the exact details, but apparently Vivi wasn't supposed to be a princess. Number 7, Lucci being a villain. Now it's crazy to think that Lucci, one of the best villains and arguably one of the best arcs in One Piece to date, was not supposed to be Luffy's enemy. Because of Lucci we had one of the best moments in One Piece history, but maybe Oda had something else in store for Lucci, and I think he's pushing that idea now by bringing him back to the story with all the cover stories. We've had the brief appearance he made at at the end of Dressrosa, and even in Film Gold. So it seems like Oda has big plans for Lucci other than him just being a villain for the Straw Hats, and I personally can't wait to see what Oda has in store for him, because Lucci is one of my favorite characters slash villains, even though he's kind of a bit messed up in the head with the whole dark justice, but he clearly went through some changes after the beatdown he took from Luffy, so I'm looking forward to that. At number 6 we have Law being an important character. Now without a doubt Law has become a fan favorite in the One Piece fandom. There's not a lot of people that hate Law, especially from what he has shown and accomplished as a character. So this to me kind of sounds like blasphemy, because his role in the story is so important right now. I don't see how the Straw Hats would have had this much success without him. All the way from the events of Punk Hazard to Dressrosa with Doflamingo, and pushing Luffy towards the path to starting his first war against one of the 4 Yonkos. So Law is clearly one of the best characters he introduced to the story. Again, it's probably one of those things where as the story moves on, Oda adds more things that weren't planned for, and this by far is one of his best. Now on the other hand, he did say Kid will become an important character in the story, which we all had hunches about, since Luffy and Kid seem more like rivals more than anything, the Shiki of this generation to say. But that's pretty much number 6. Number 5, Ace being Roger's son. Now this is more believable because there wasn't really any hints beforehand, so this might just be one of the things he created as the story progressed, but it added on so well with the story that you couldn't tell it was forced into the story. It all made sense. I guess this is his own way of adding spice to the story, which makes it less predictable and more exciting for the readers, as Oda did say that he likes going beyond the expectations of the reader. If there's something Oda knows how to do, it's the finale of arcs, and hopefully this is the case with Whole Cake, especially with all the hate it's getting. Hopefully the finale just blows our minds. Number 4, the Supernovas still surviving in the New World. Oda thought half of them would drop out and not make it. The New World being the sea where only the strong survives. If I had to pick the individuals that he would drop, it would probably be Apu, Capone, Bonnie, and Rouge. I don't want to say Rouge. The fandom is crazy about that man right now, but I can see why Oda wanted to make this happen, as it would be more realistic, and the Supernovas could barely destroy a pacifista pre-time skip. And this is why the Straw Hats took the 2-year time skip, because they weren't ready. Most of the other Supernovas went to the New World and survived somehow. Obviously some of them got messed up like Kid. Kid's missing an arm, but we're not exactly sure if the others went through through a similar experience as kid. Number 3, the Shichibukai appearing in the story and the manga. One Piece was originally a story meant for the Yonkos and not the Shichibukai. And Oda did say that the reason why One Piece hasn't reached its conclusion yet, or close to its conclusion, is because of the Warlords. Obviously, taking out the Shichibukai definitely made the story a lot more longer than it should be. I mean, for the most part of, the pre-time skip, most of the villains were, the Shichibukai. We had Mihawk at the very start, then Crocodile, then Moria, and finally Kuma at Sabaody. And at that point, we really didn't know much about the Yonkos, so it seems like the first portion of the series, it was mostly focused on the Shichibukai, and then with the time skip, it's shifting more, to the Yonkos, since most of the Warlords have been taken out by Luffy, or they're on good terms with, Luffy, such as Mihawk, Buggy, Boa. But again, as the story moves on, things arises and you have to work on them. Number 2, Shanks appearing at Marineford. Now this is by far one of the most hype moments we had in One Piece, and one of the scenes that made Shanks gain so many One Piece fans, yet Oda didn't really plan for it. Marineford itself was hype enough, but adding another Yonko into the equation at the end really made Marineford god tier. And to think that Oda didn't really plan for that, that's kind of crazy. Now I do wonder how he intended on ending Marineford without the presence of another Yonko showing up, because the Whitebeard pirates were getting slaughtered at that point. So who knows what Oda originally had in store for the end of Marineford, but regardless, it was straight up greatness. And finally, at number 1, we have creating the Supernovas 3 hours before the chapter dropped. This one clearly deserves number 1 on the list because of how crazy it is. Now this is what Oda said in the interview, and I quote, "I created the Supernovas right before the chapter they got introduced. None of them existed in my plot notebook before the chapter. I was in a desperate situation, worrying at this rate Sabaody will not be interested enough. Then the inspiration for the 9 supernovas came to my mind unconsciously. I should have reduced the numbers of the supernovas since there were too many, but after all, I made them appear in the manga." Now Oda is low-key a fraud, but the fact that he was able to create 9 characters and their design alongside with their personality, devil fruit powers and everything in a matter of hours before the chapter drops really speaks volumes of how creative Oda is and how good he is at depicting things like this in the story. Sabaody being one of my favorite arcs specifically because of the supernovas, and to think that that was made hours before the chapter dropped, oh my, there's only one word you can say at this point: Goda. But that's pretty much the list, and Oda did talk about different things that pertains to what he looks forward to and different things that he actually planned for. For example, Oda's editors were against the idea of killing Ace in Marineford because of how maybe the fans would react to it, which didn't really have that much of a backlash as I thought, as shonens tend to avoid killing off certain likable characters, and Ace was definitely one of them. Oda also said that he already had a plan that Kuma would break up the Straw Hats after he was introduced at Triller Bark, which was then executed at Sabaody. And Oda did say we're going to Wano this year, and said that there are tons of new characters he wants to draw and has been waiting for 20 years to finally draw this arc, which is one of the reasons that there is so much hype around Wano in the first place. It's supposedly going to be the best thing since Marineford, and that we're going to meet the greatest enemy the Straw Hats will ever face that could be related to Whitebeard. I made a whole video about this, you could go check that out. Links will be in the description. Again, if you want to check out more things that he said in this interview, links will be in the description. Everything will be on there. But comment down below what you guys think. Like the video if you liked it. Subscribe for more One Piece content on this channel, and hit the notification bell if you can, if you want to get notified for more videos in the future. It is Ferro, guys, and I will see you folks later. Peace.